Hey guys, again, I just want to remind you to get your copy of the book. The link is in the description so you can follow along with the study. There's extra stuff in the book that I don't talk about, especially in the commentary section. I don't focus a lot on commentary, but in the end, I just encourage you guys to follow along with the book, follow along with the study, and let's get back to it.
No mundo.
Guys, I'm so thankful you've been on this journey with us in this series. I believe the truths in this study are going to set people free. I'm excited about the testimonies. If you've been blessed by this, we encourage you to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share this with someone you know is going to be a blessing to them. But also, guys, if this has been a blessing to you and you believe this can impact others and what we are doing here at No Mundo, I ask you guys to consider giving to this ministry. We have this link in the description where you can be a monthly contributor to what we do here. And we want to continue to grow this and reach the nations for Jesus, because with Jesus, you win. And we want to help people to do that. Guys, breathe. You're doing great. Let's keep going. We're doing great. We're going to get into some really good stuff here. But this is another really important video here. We're going to talk about the enemy's attack. We've gotten introduced to Job, who he is, what his influence is, and how that made the enemy upset. We've talked about the conversation between Satan, the accuser, and the opposer, and God, and the conversation they had, how it's not a bet that they're setting up, that God has revealed what's really the reality in the world at that time, that God is going to preserve. He knows how to preserve the righteous, but also there is authority that God will not break and do an illegal act in. He will stay within His word and His ways, and He will remain holy through all this. And He's able, and this is important, He will work everything out for the good of those who love Him. And He loves Job, and He's going to see Job through this. But there's something we have to see, and that's the enemy's attack. Now there was a day when the sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, and there came a messenger to Job and said, "The oxen were plowing, and the donkeys feeding beside them. And the Sabeans fell upon them, took them, and struck down the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you." While he was yet speaking, there came another and said, "The fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and I alone have escaped to tell you." While he was yet speaking, there came another and said, "The Chaldeans formed 3 groups and made a raid on the camels and took them and struck them down, the servants with the edge of the sword. I alone have escaped to tell you." While he was yet speaking, there came another and said, "Your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in the oldest brother's house. And behold, a great wind came across the wilderness and struck the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young people. And they are dead, and I alone have escaped to tell you." Then Job arose and tore his robe and shaved his head and fell on the ground and worshipped. And he said, "Naked I came into my mother's womb, and naked I shall return. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." And all this Job did not sin or charge God with any wrong. Point out, first of all, it says, now there was a day. So this wasn't like the Satan just turned all of a sudden and boom, this all happened. There was orchestration that set all this up because it all happened in one day. Guys, we've all had those days. Probably not a Job day, but we've all had those days where it's like, can this get any worse? Guys, imagine this man. He's the richest. He's very wealthy. He's doing everything, and just in one moment, all of his wealth in like 3 different categories is gone. It's gone. And then on top of that, could you imagine? It's like you imagine a stockbroker, and he's just a wealthy stockbroker, and he just, in the Great Depression when the stocks crashed, and he's there, he's wealthy, he's rich, and all of a sudden, boom! You know how many of those guys committed suicide because of that? And here's Job. His whole wealth and everything has just collapsed in a moment. And on top of that, he gets news that every single one of his children have died. Every single one of them. In one moment, everything is gone. I praise this man because, my goodness, his response isn't what his wife tells him to do, curse God and die. No, he gets down, he worships God. And he says, "The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." Now, what's very important is actually, you've heard it in songs, you've heard it in eulogies, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. What is important is Job did not sin. He did not blame God. There's a difference between giving acknowledgement for something to someone and blaming them for it. The blame has this idea of being unjust. It's like there's anger behind it, there's frustration, there's an unfair feeling about it. But to say it's like, they did this, but to be like, they can. I mean, I don't know if I agree with it, but that's who they are. But here's the reality. We know, guys, chapter 1 has already revealed to us how this all went down. God took nothing from Job. This is so important. And if you say, yeah, he did, you didn't read chapter 1. God took nothing from Job. Again, Job is walking in the light of what he has. He just knows that God is sovereign. He doesn't even know if he's good. He doesn't say that. He just knows that God is God and he's the all-powerful and he can do whatever he wants. He says that in chapter 42. You can do whatever you want. And it hurts. Job's not like everything's okay. No, he's hurting. He has lost his 10 children that he has raised at his bosom. All the memories come flooding back. He is hurting. His wife, on top of that, has lost her 10 children. So there's the consoling he has to do with her, all this stuff, and all their wealth is gone. And his response is he worships God. And even though that's all beautiful and everything, he's wrong. God took nothing from him. Why? I'll show you. In Job 2 verse 3, it says this, "And the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? Have you set your heart against my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, blameless, upright, man who fears God and turns away from evil? He still holds fast his integrity, although you incited me against him to destroy him without reason." This is very important. God's saying there will be no reason to destroy Job. God always has a reason for what he does. He doesn't just do things. He does everything with excellence. He was saying to kill Job, to destroy his life, to stretch my hand against it, there will be no reason to. I don't do that. The enemy comes back and he's like, same thing. The sons of God come, they present themselves to God, and Satan's among them. And the same conversation happens again. And he says, "What? You know?" He said, he still doesn't curse me. He still worships me. He's still blameless and upright. Yeah, he's wrong, but he hasn't cursed me. He hasn't blamed me. He hasn't shook his fist at me. How dare you, God? And Satan goes, yeah, but flesh for flesh. If you made him sick, if you did something to his body, he'd curse you. He'd curse you. He cares about his own. He's selfish, you know. He accuses Job of being this person. Again, he accuses, and that's what he does every day to you saints. He accuses God. Thank God for Jesus. And again, who struck Job? Job 2:7 reveals it. Guys, stop saying God did this to Job. It says, "So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and struck Job with loathsome sores from the sole of his foot to the crown of his head." Who struck Job? God? No. Satan struck Job. Satan touched Job's body. He is in Satan's hands. He is in Satan's hands. This is not a God thing. But guess what? His response? I will not curse God. Notice where sickness came from. Notice who gave sickness. This is very important, especially with the realities of healing. Who struck Job with sickness? The devil did. Acts 10:38 says this, "How God anointed Jesus of Nazareth with the Holy Spirit and with power. He went about doing good and healing all who were oppressed of the devil, for God was with him." Jesus is the difference in the Christian's life. Job did not have Jesus. But what was Job's response even now? Is he going to curse God? Is he going to blame God? No, he says this when his wife says, just curse God and die. She's having a rough day. She's not handling it well. She isn't righteous, blameless, and right with and turns away from evil. No. And she says, curse God and die. And Job's response is this: "You speak as one of the foolish women would speak. Shall we receive good from God, and shall we not receive evil?" In all this, Job did not sin with his lips. He did not sin with his lips because he didn't, of what he said. No, he's wrong again. God does not give him evil. God says there would be no reason to do that. There would be no reason to destroy Job. The enemy has struck Job. He's wrong, but in the end, his view of God is he is the immortal. He is the almighty. He is the one who can do anything he desires. He's the sovereign king. So if he chooses to put evil on me, who am I to go against that? It's his choice. He is the possessor of heaven and earth. He's wrong, but he does not blame God, and therefore he does not sin with his mouth. So here we are. The devil has failed again. He is wrong. His accusation has fallen to the ground. Job has the victory. So now what happens? Think about it, guys. He's lost everything. And now he is in so much excruciating pain, covered in these boils. If he moves, he has to scrape himself. It hurts. He's in agony. I mean, we've been there, guys. We've been that place where our minds, our souls, our bodies, everything is just done. And we just sit in quiet. And that's where he's at. Perhaps pondering the memories of his kids when they first learned to walk. Whenever they took their first camel ride, whatever it was, when he's teaching them about Jehovah, all these things, they're gone. And he's quiet, but something's going to happen. He's pondering a lot, and he's pondering a lot in the darkness and a lot of places unknown. And he admits that in chapter 42. He said things he doesn't know. And in his grief, 3 friends come who've heard of this, and they come to visit him. We're going to talk about them in the next video and about how they are the worst comforters on earth. Guys, there's a time to speak and a time not to. Go ahead and click the next video. Let's talk about these 3 friends that have come to comfort Job and miserably fail.